Hello and welcome to this tutorial about how to install transducers to measure with the UV lab. I will show you some examples of holders and transducer installation on this flue. Those ideas are also valid for other setups like tanks or pipes. We recommend to first install your transducers on your setup and plug them to the device after. I have here several transducers and several holders. And I will now turn the pump on. The first idea is to put your transducer directly in your liquid. You can first hold it manually. Hold it by the head, not by the cable, as the junction between the head and the cable may be damaged. You will have to pay attention that the material of your transducer is compatible with your liquid. Here it's water, so there is no problem with those transducers, but you may be working with corrosive liquids or in harsh environments. So you can put the active surface of the transducer in black here directly in contact with the water. When holding it manually, you will not know the exact angle between the transducer axis and the flume. And as we measure the projection of the velocity along the transducer axis, you want to know the angle. So we recommend to use holders. You can put a holder directly in the liquid. The first idea is this one. Oops! Come look at it closer. Here you have a quite simple holder. The 1.5 MHz transducer is oriented horizontally towards upstream. The UV lab measures a velocity profile along this axis, which looks like this. You will have to pay attention that there are not too many bubbles attaching to the active surface. Bubble formation will decrease the quality of the signal, air having a high acoustic impedance. If one does not want to perturbate the flow at all, it is possible to measure through the wall. The material of the wall is of great importance. The acoustic impedance of this material could hinder the acoustic pulse to reach the liquid. Plastic walls work fine. Here we have a PVC wall, for example. As the measured velocity is the projection on the transducer axis, if you want to get information on the flow velocity, you will have to set the transducer with an oblique angle. Again, the transducer holder is necessary to obtain a precise measurement, as the angle affects directly the precision of your measurement. If you don't have any holder, here are 3 examples. If you want to design your own holders, note that our transducers have a shoulder section here that helps designing the holder. This first holder ensures a 70-degree angle between the transducer axis and the flow. I put a 3 MHz transducer in it to ensure the absence of air between the transducer and the wall. You need to put some gel. Like this. You will have to make sure that there are no bubbles between the transducer and the wall. Measured velocities with this holder looks like this. This other holder ensures a 70-degree angle with the flume also, and the suction cup design makes it very adaptive. The spirit level allows you to check horizontality between the suction cup holder and the flume. Measurements with this holder look like this. You can also imagine a simple clamp-on system for pipes like this one. I put a 6 MHz transducer in it, and you also need to put gel like all the holders that measure through walls. The measurements with this holder look like this. Now you have installed your transducers on your setup. What do you need to do on the device's side? Well, you need to plug your transducers, of course. The UB Lab, you have wired it before as shown in the video given in the description below. On the sensors interface of the UB Lab S2 or X2, you will find 5 BNC connectors. One is for a temperature sensor. If you do not use any temperature sensor, you have to plug a BNC 75 ohm resistor, or the measurements will be affected. The other 4 channels are dedicated to transducers. Channels 2 and 4 are used for transit measurements modus, available only on the UB Lab X2. For one component UVP measurements, meaning monostatic modus, with the same transducer being the emitter and the receiver, you will only need channels 1 and 3. This is the usually used modus. The transducers with BNC connectors are plugged like this, pushing and turning the ring. Unplugging goes the exact inverse way, turning and pulling. Remembering which transducer is plugged in which channel is essential. A tip is to tape the information on the connector side. Like this. Here it's a 6 MHz transducer, and here you go. If you have transducers with LEMO connectors, you can simply purchase an adapter and plug it in between. Those LEMO connectors are compatible with the UB Lab X8. Big warning, the device can be damaged if you use transducers with very low impedance. So if you want to use transducers which were not provided by Ubertone, please check with us before. The UB Lab 2C has 5 BNC connectors for transducers, one for the emitter on the left and 4 others for 2 pairs of receivers. Here 3 transducers are plugged, and we used a dedicated holder for bistatic measurements, installed in a bigger flume. The holder is adapted to the suction cup model and put on the inner side of the flume wall this time. Measurements with this installation give this kind of results. Thank you for your attention. If you have more questions, do not hesitate in contacting us. The links are in the description. Bye!